This is the Godox V480. Is it worth the upgrade from the Godox V350? Let's talk about it. Let's see what's inside the box. All right, as you open the box, you're greeted with pretty much the manual of how to use the stuff. This is just to show you the functionality and compatibility with different cameras. All right. All right, they send you a little charging brick to charge the battery, which is good. I like that. And this is the actual battery itself. And we also have a little diffusion. And we get a USB-A to USB-C connection right there. And let's get into the flash. Let's put this box to the side. And here we have our flash. Inside the case, we have a little stand. So this is everything that is inside the box. All right, let's go through a quick overview of everything. All right, so we have the thing for the power for charging the battery. Even though the battery has a little section on here, as you can see right there, that you can actually charge a battery. All right, so let's put this to the side, and then now we have our little stand. So we're gonna use our little stand for now. What you have to do is press this button here. Once you press it, you twist it, and you get access to the hot shoe right there. And then this is just mimicking how you'd actually put it onto the camera itself. And then we have the stand right there, all right? So that is good. I'm gonna keep this on for now. And we can just put these to the side, because we're not gonna be using these. All right, so I want to put the case away as well. All right, so we have the flash and we have the diffusion. I personally always use the diffusion. If you look at my V350, you'll always see that I have a diffusion on here, all right? So let's go over just the basics of the flash, but before we do that, let's put the battery in. The one thing I like so far is how easy this lid opens up versus my 350. It takes a little, must do in order for you to get it open. All right, so I love the ease of that so far. Let's put it in. One thing I don't like so far is it doesn't snap into place. So if you look at my V350, there's a little snap and it stays in place. Not sure why they went with that functionality, but anyway. So let's just put it in and close it. And then we can initially just turn it on. And you twist. And that's just to help you from not accidentally turning on the actual flash itself, which I think is pretty good. All right, so what I want to go over just real quick is just the visual aesthetics. Let's put this on for now. Just looking at the flash itself, these two here, I love the difference in terms of the size. It's not too big, because one of the things I really hated when you have those humongous flashes on a tiny camera. And the Sony camera is not necessarily a really big camera. So I love the fact that the size is not too bigger than this. So we're definitely going to get a little bit more output in terms of power with the flash, which I really like. All right, so let's put this to the side for now, and let's just go through the basics of the menu. All right, so the menu is pretty simple. Once we tap there, we're going to have these little buttons here. We have the wipe off, which is when you have it on the camera, right? And then you also have your receiver and your sender. So you can actually use this flash to trigger other flashes. If you have other Godox flashes, I have a 8200, a 8400, and so on. I can actually use this flash to trigger those flash. And also I can use other flash to trigger this one. If we go here to the menu now, you have your wireless. And now this is where you can actually indicate and put in your channels. So if your flash is used in different channels, you can set the channel so that someone else in the vicinity does not fire your flash by mistake. What you can also do for extra set of safety is you can actually put an ID. I necessarily don't use that because I've never had that issue. in over the years. And I love one thing that they have here is that you have a scan feature. So the scan features, if you're in a location where there's might be some interference, you can use the scan feature in order to just scan and get the best signal possible, or rather the best channel possible for that particular settings or location, which I think is really dope. All right. And also you have a sync feature now. So in other words, let's say you don't want to manually punch in all the camera settings. So let's say you're going to use this to trigger a flash. With the newer flashes, like the 8200 Pros, you can sync the settings from the flash and it automatically puts in like the channel, and if you're using an ID and all that stuff, so that way you don't have to go through and do that manually, which I think is a really good feature. So let's go back and let's go into the menu now. So we're in the menu section now, and now you have your power type. And I'm using the fraction section right here, which is the average that most people use. But if you own like the Pro Photo, this is what you're going to be using. If you tap on that and you select that now, if you go in, and let's say you go into your, let's just go here, you're going to notice that the number is just a number system. I personally don't use that because I'm not accustomed to that. I'm more old school, so I will more go into here. Oops. Let's go here, and I put it back on the fraction. Now, these are the different stuff. You have a 0.1 and a 0.3. I am more accustomed to the 0.3 when you move in the numbers, so let's show you that right now. So if we go back here, and then we'll come here. If you adjust, let's put it to the side. If you adjust, you're going to see that it's moving in 0.3 increments, all right? And that's pretty much what it is. And then if you come to this area right here now, you can also switch between your different modes with a TTL or your manual mode, all right? And over here, you also have your different zooms. And this is if you're actually using a zoom lens, you would have it on the auto. If you have it on auto, it would automatically adjust the zoom length of this right here. So if you look, let me just put it here. If you look at this, you'll see that this thing is actually adjusting. You see that? This is on 50 millimeter. You go to 70. I go to 80. And 105. You see this is adjusting according. But I personally would also keep this on either auto, or if I'm working indoors, I usually have this on 24 and I don't touch from that. The next thing you can also, if we're going down to the zoom now, if you want to get a wider flash or spread of light, you can bring up the diffusion, and this will go to about, I think, a 14 millimeter spread. Because as you notice, if you come here, it's the widest it has is 24. I've never actually used this before, all right? The one thing I definitely use though is this here, but I use this in conjunction with the diffusion. What this does is, for me at least, is it allows me not to have the light being spilled behind me, because if I'm shooting couples or people in front of me, I don't mind if the light fires that way, up if there's a white ceiling, and to the sides. So what this does now, if I should just bring this down slightly and put my diffusion over here. All right, so if you notice now, you're going to see the diffusion right there. All right. And what that, like I mentioned before, if I should fire the flash, I'm not going to get any flash firing at me, because right now it's not really affecting my eyes right now. But if I turn it this way and I press it, it's definitely hitting my eyes a little bit more direct. So what that also helps you to do is not wasting all that power from the actual flash itself, because once you put the diffusion on, you will lose at least a stop or two from the flash. All right, so I tend to use it this way. This is a personal preference. You don't have to. I'm just showing you something that I actually do. Anyway, let's just go back to the menu. So we're in the menu now, and we have the TCM, and we have also the different, you have the meter and your feet. All right, so pretty much what this does is just a measurement thing. I usually use feet. I'm accustomed to feet, not using meters. So I keep this on feet. All right. Let's go back. And you have your standby. You can put it on standby, meaning that the flash won't necessarily turn on. It just go into a sleep mode. So once you turn the camera back on, it comes on back automatically. All right. The next thing is auto power off. This is on 30 minutes. So in other words, if you're not using the flash for any period of time, in 30 minutes, the flash is going to turn off and then you have to repower it back on again manually. All right. And you have 30, 60, and 90 minutes. All right. You have your different modes now. Your modes for this now is for the light in the front here. So the modeling lamp is on continuous. In other words, if you should press the flash, this light will be constantly firing. All right. So if we just go, okay. So if we swipe down, you're going to see that this little menu here. And if we press the modeling light, you're going to see that light. And this light is pretty bright for what it is. Right now it's on the lowest power and you can see how bright this light is. If I should bring it up all the way, you can see how much brighter this light is. And this is pretty bright, guys. So for me, that is a good feature that I really appreciate them adding to this particular light. Because you can be in a situation where you're in a dark scene and you're not getting proper focus with your camera. This will actually help you with this. But go back to what I was saying before. If you want the continuous, if I fire the light, you can see that the light is still on. But if we go back to the menu now, let's just go back to the menu. And then now we're going to change this to interrupt. So put that, go back outside to the menu, come back here. And now the model light is on. If I should press the power, you see that the model light turns off. And that is pretty good because what that would do also, it will save you battery and also it won't constantly blind whomever it is you're pointing this thing at. Me personally, I don't necessarily use it because I'm using the A7 IV and the A7 IV is pretty good at capturing focus in low lit rooms. So I don't necessarily worry about that feature. Let's go back to the menu. All right. New agreement. I'm not too sure what that is. I'll put it up on the screen if I find out information on that. You have your language. I think this is Chinese and English. All right, you have a two language there. And you have your factory resets. You can, if you for whatever reason having any issues with the light, with the flash rather, you can just do a factory reset and oftentimes that tend to fix the issue. All right. And then lastly is your device intro. It just shows you what model. This is for the Sony. So this is the V480S, which is for Sony. You have Canon, Olympus, and some other, I think Fuji. All right. And then you also have your version number. Right now, this is on version 1.00. All right. So now we have finished that section right there. Let's go back outside now. Now we're going to just go to the top menu now. So you have your sync, which is high-speed sync. So what this allows you to do is to fire your camera higher than its actual 250 or 200, 1/200 or 1/250 sync speed, and you can increase that. All right. You also have your different photo calls. So what this does is it allows you to actually use this to trigger other flashes, or other flashes can actually trigger this. All right. I have never actually used that before. So for me, it's not something that I'm interested in. The next thing is the beeping sound. If you press it, you're going to hear that the beep. If I turn it off, you no longer hear it anymore. If you're in a church, you want to make sure that you're as quiet as possible. So I personally would turn this off. Actually, personally, I've never used this. So for me, this will never be on. And we spoke about the modeling lab. You also have your lock. If you lock, you will be not able to touch or do anything here. So you won't mistakenly change any settings on the flash itself. And to unpress that, which we actually did a while ago, I think that's one of the things that the new firmware, there's a firmware that is out now that you won't be able to unlock it by tapping the screen here. You will be able to just do that. What I'll do in another video, I'll show you guys how to do that. All right, so let's just go back. If I press and hold, it unlocks the screen. All right, you can do it that way, but if we go back and lock again, we can actually press the button and hold it, and it unlocks. So I think the firmware that they release is it disables you from tapping the screen to unlock it. All right, let's just go back. And then you have the multi now. I've never actually used this, but the multi just allows you to fire the flash at certain intervals at a certain hertz. I've never actually used that, so that's a feature that I'm not necessarily interested in. So if you're someone who's coming from the V350, would you say that this is a great update to have? For me personally, I would say yes. Why? One is I love the fact of the size a little bit larger, so I can definitely know that I'm going to be getting a little bit more power. So if I'm going to be photographing large groups, I know that this can fill the area for the large groups instead of expending the battery life on the flash itself. All right. I love the new technology of the touch screen. That's a feature that I truly welcome because it mimics the Godox trigger, the new one that they actually have, which is this one here, which is the X3. I love this little trigger here, and it just works almost like my Apple Watch. So I love the new technology that they're introducing into their flashes, and I welcome a new thing. And this also have a lot more features for the newer cameras that are coming out, like the new Sony A7 V and the A9 and so forth and so on. So I welcome the new features. What else? For me, I love the modeling lab that it actually has as well. Because you never know. Like I said, I personally don't have that issue where I'm having issue getting focus in dark lit areas, but I love having the functionality of having a modeling lamp in case I need to use it. But not only that, I can use it to light something. So this is actually a multifaceted flash that has more versatility than the 350. So yeah, so for me, those small features are some that personally I would definitely upgrade to the 480 over the 350. And you just, I don't remember what the prices are, but I'll put it up on the screen what the prices are for the difference between these two flashes. And I think the difference is not that significant. So if you do make money from your job as a photographer, I would say invest in this new model. If you do have the 350 and it's still working great, you don't have to upgrade to it. But if you're considering upgrading, I think it's a good choice for you to do that. So overall, guys, I think this was a well buy for me because it was a friend of mine that showed me the actual flash, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that I had this, and that's why I got it so I can show it to you guys and go through. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to peel this off for you guys so we can just get that little right there, and boom. All right, guys, so that has just been a quick unboxing and overview of the Godox V480 flash. Let me know in the comment section below, guys, if you guys will be interested in something like this. And if you guys are, I'll leave a link in the description below that you guys can actually use to purchase this flash. And yeah, I literally bought this flash with my money, guys, and I think it's money well spent. I think I'm going to buy a second one and yeah, and start using it. So I'll give you guys another feedback as to how it performs out in the field, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, smash that like button, guys. If you guys are new to the channel, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.